Okay, so you know how we're always digging into these fascinating business books and
No.
trying to pull out the real gems, the stuff that can actually help us level up?
Absolutely.
Well, this time you send over your notes and highlights from Alex Hormozi's $100 M offers.
Mm.
And
Well, that's a good one.
yeah, it is. It's really insightful. And we're going to do a deep dive into his whole concept of the Grand Slam offer. So basically what we're trying to figure out here is how to make an offer so good, so compelling that it kind of stands out in the market, no matter what you're selling.
It's like creating that irresistible offer that just draws people in.
Exactly. And the thing is, Hormozi says the offer is like the linchpin of everything. Like he
Yeah.
says straight up, the offer is the most important element of the sale.
Right from the get-go, he emphasizes the absolute importance of believing in what you're selling.
Yeah, he makes that point about conviction, doesn't he? Like if you don't truly believe in your product or service, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure.
It's almost like you're self-sabotaging before you even begin. Because if you don't buy into it, how can you expect anyone else to?
It's true. And then he throws in this idea that I found super interesting about the importance of the starving crowd.
Yes, this is where it gets really intriguing.
He actually argues that having a market that desperately needs what you offer is more important than the product itself. He uses that analogy of the hot dog stand.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Imagine a marketing professor asking their students, what's the biggest advantage you could have if you were opening a hot dog stand?
Most people would probably say the best quality hot dogs or the perfect location.
Right. But Hormozi and this professor, they both say the ultimate advantage is a huge, hungry crowd just dying for a hot dog.
And it makes you completely rethink your priorities.
Totally. He actually lays out this hierarchy.
Yeah.
Starving crowd first, then offer strength, and then persuasion skills.
It's a really powerful framework for understanding where to focus your energy.
He even says, and I'm quoting him here, if there is a ton of demand for a solution, you can be mediocre at business, have a terrible offer, and have no ability to persuade people, and you can still make money.
Wow. That's a pretty bold statement.
It is, but it also makes you think. It's about tapping into a real need in the market. But of course, we're not aiming for mediocrity here.
No, we're here to learn how to create those truly exceptional offers, those Grand Slam offers he talks about.
So what exactly makes a Grand Slam offer?
Well, he describes it as an offer that simply can't be compared to anything else out there. It's got an irresistible promotion, unmatched value, a premium price, and a guarantee that's unbeatable.
Right. And often it's structured so that you can get paid up front or at least cover your advertising costs so you're not constantly worried about cash flow.
It's about removing those financial barriers to growth. And he gives this really interesting example for an ad agency. Walk us through that again.
Okay, so picture this. An ad agency says, pay only for your ad spend. No monthly fees or retainers, just the ad spend itself. We handle everything generating leads, following up, and you only pay when someone actually shows up for an appointment.
That's pretty amazing already.
Right. But there's more. They also guarantee you'll get at least 20 qualified leads in the first month, or your next month is completely free.
Wow. And then on top of all that, they give you access to all their proven strategies and best practices from other successful businesses in your niche.
Exactly. So you're not just getting leads and appointments, you're getting the knowledge and expertise to really succeed.
It's like they've removed all the risk and objections right off the bat. So to build an offer like that, we need to start by understanding who that starving crowd is. How do we find them?
Well, Hormozi says there's definitely a market out there that needs your skills and abilities, but he cautions against being what he calls romantic about your ideal audience.
Right. So not just choosing a group because you like them or connect with them.
Yeah, you really need to focus on those who can and are willing to pay for your expertise.
It's a more pragmatic approach. And he generally assumes that most markets are going to fall into one of these three categories: health, wealth, or relationships.
It makes sense. Those are the areas where people are often most willing to invest. And then he gives us 4 key indicators to help us identify a good market. First, massive pain.
Not just a little annoyance, but a real problem that people desperately need to solve.
Right. Like he says, they must not want but desperately need what I'm offering. And the intensity of that pain is directly related to the price they'll be willing to pay.
So the more acute the problem, the more valuable the solution. Makes sense. What's the next indicator?
Purchasing power. I mean, it doesn't matter how much pain someone's in if they can't afford your solution.
You got to find people who have both the need and the means to invest in a solution.
Exactly. And he even quotes one of his own tweets. Solve rich people's problems, they pay better. And he uses the example of a career coach.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Like, it's great to want to help unemployed people, but they might not be able to afford high-end coaching. Whereas someone who's already successful and wants to get to the next level, they're more likely to invest.
Right. It's about finding the right fit in terms of both need and financial capacity. Okay, so what's the third indicator?
Easy to target. Basically, can you actually find and reach the people who have this problem and the money to solve it?
So thinking about things like, do they belong to certain associations? Are they on specific mailing lists? Are there social media groups they hang out in?
Exactly. The easier it is to reach them, the more efficient your marketing will be.
Makes sense. What's the final indicator?
Growing. You want to be in a market that's expanding, not shrinking. He compares relationship coaching for college students versus for, people in the second half of life.
Ah, interesting comparison.
The senior citizen market is probably both larger and more financially stable, plus they're facing different relationship challenges as they age.
So those are the four indicators. Massive pain, purchasing power, easy to target, and growing.
And once you think you've found your market, Hormozi has some really important advice about this whole idea of the greener grass.
Oh, the temptation to always think there's a better market out there.
Exactly. He's basically saying that every business, every market is going to have its downsides. There's no perfect niche.
It's so easy to get caught up in that trap, You try one market, it doesn't work out instantly, and you think, oh, it must be the market, I need to find a different one.
Right. And he calls that the niche slap. When a new entrepreneur tries something, doesn't become a millionaire overnight, and blames the market.
When the issue could be the offer, the marketing, or just a lack of experience.
Totally. And he's really adamant that for most businesses making under $10 million a year, niching down, specializing, is actually the path to more money.
So getting really specific about who you serve and what problem you solve.
Exactly. He uses the example of a fitness program. A general weight loss program might only be able to charge, say, $19 a month.
Right, because there's so much competition.
But a program designed specifically for, let's say, shift nurses that could potentially be priced at $19.97 hours, even if the core content is similar.
Because it's so much more targeted and relevant to that specific group's needs.
Exactly. That shift nurse is going to feel like that program really understands their unique challenges, their crazy schedules, their fatigue.
It speaks directly to their specific situation.
And Hormozi's advice is, if you find a crazy good market, write it, and write it hard. And if you pair a grand slam offer with a crazy market, you'll likely never need to work again. Seriously.
That's quite a statement. Okay, so we've found our starving crowd. We're committed to that market. Now, what about the offer itself? How do we make it that expensive bargain?
Right. So Hormozi's all about charging more, but also delivering more. It's the opposite of that race to the bottom you see so often.
Where everyone's just trying to be the cheapest.
Exactly. And he says a higher price can actually signal higher quality and value to potential customers.
It's like that old saying, you get what you pay for.
Exactly. And when someone pays a premium price, they're more likely to be engaged, committed, and to actually implement what you're teaching them, which leads to better results.
It's a win-win. They get more value, and you can charge more for your expertise.
He even says those who pay the most attention. And, of course, the price should never exceed the value you provide.
Right. It's not about just arbitrarily inflating prices.
But there should be a significant gap between what the client pays and your cost to deliver the service. That's where your profit lies.
That makes sense. And to really bridge that gap between price and perceived value, we need to understand Hormozi's value equation. This is where it all comes together.
Okay, so the value equation has 4 parts. Dream outcome, perceived likelihood of achievement, time delay, and effort and sacrifice.
And the goal is to increase the first 2 and decrease the last 2.
Right. So let's break it down. First, dream outcome. This is all about understanding what your client really, really wants. And he says those desires are often tied to things that elevate their status. Looking better, being more respected, having more power, or finding love.
Those are some pretty powerful motivators.
He uses this great example of selling a golf club. You don't just focus on the features. You paint a picture of the customer's golf buddies, being amazed by their improved game.
You're selling them the feeling of respect and admiration from their peers.
Exactly. You're selling the vacation, not just the plane flight.
Love that analogy. Okay, so next is perceived likelihood of achievement.
This is where your client needs to believe that you can actually help them reach that dream outcome.
So it's about showcasing your expertise, your track record, your testimonials.
Right. And also structuring your offer in a way that instills confidence, including things like guarantees, which we'll get to later. Then there's time delay.
People are impatient. They want results fast.
Exactly. He talks about the importance of early emotional wins for the client.
So giving them some quick wins to build momentum and keep them motivated.
Like for a gym owner, it might be getting their first new client sign up within a week. For someone trying to lose weight, it might be seeing a few pounds drop off quickly.
Right. Those early successes can make a huge difference. And then the last part of the value equation is effort and sacrifice.
And this is all about minimizing how much work the client has to do.
People generally want the easiest path to their desired outcome.
Exactly. And that's why done-for-you services are usually more expensive than do-it-yourself options.
Right, because you're taking on more of the work and effort.
He makes this interesting comparison between Xanax and meditation.
Oh, yeah, both can help with anxiety, but Xanax requires basically zero effort.
Exactly. And he contrasts the supplement industry with health clubs.
Taking a pill is seen as easier than going to the gym regularly, even if both aim for similar health outcomes.
And he says, and I love this quote, "You can either be right or you can be rich."
Meaning, sometimes the easiest solution for the customer, even if it's not the most technically perfect, is what they'll actually pay for.
Right. And what's fascinating is that he says beginners often focus on making bigger claims about their dream outcome, while the most successful companies focus on reducing time delay and effort.
So it's about making the path to success as smooth and effortless as possible for the client.
Exactly. Which leads to his next point. Perception is reality.
Ah, yes, how people perceive your offer is crucial.
It's not just about the actual value you deliver, but how that value is perceived.
He has that great example from the London Underground.
Oh yeah, about the trains.
They found that rider satisfaction increased more from installing displays that showed train arrival times than from actually making the trains faster.
So the actual wait times might not have changed much, but the perception of waiting was improved.
It's all about managing expectations and making the whole experience feel better.
Okay, so now that we understand the importance of perception and the value equation, how do we actually build this irresistible offer? Hormozi says we need to start by listing and solving problems.
So it's not just about addressing the main problem your offer solves, but also all the potential obstacles and hesitations a buyer might have.
Exactly. You got to anticipate their concerns and proactively address them.
Like he asks, what could you do that someone would immediately say, all that? Seriously, yes, I'm absolutely in.
It's about removing all those points of friction.
He compares it to a grocery shopping list. You're not just selling them the main ingredients for a meal, you're also providing all the little extras they might need.
Right, so they don't have to make multiple trips to the store.
And he also suggests focusing on selling something you're really good at that's also relatively easy to deliver.
And he recommends one-to-many solutions like group coaching programs because they often have a big difference between your cost and the perceived value for each client.
Okay, so we've addressed their problems, we've built a valuable offer. Now, how do we create that sense of excitement and urgency? Hormozi's next principle is make them beg for it.
Ah, yes, this is all about creating scarcity.
He says, and this is a bit counterintuitive, that if demand for your offer is increasing, you should actually consider decreasing the supply.
It's like that classic marketing tactic of limited editions or exclusive access.
Exactly. People want what they can't have.
He says it's important to consistently sell out your current capacity and to let people know about it.
It creates social proof and a fear of missing out.
And he differentiates between just generally solving problems and being the only one who can solve a very specific high-value problem.
Like, there's a difference between helping people make $10,000 a month and consistently adding $5 million in profit to businesses without requiring them to create new products.
Right, and he talks about how there's a certain zero fucks given vibe that comes from not desperately needing every customer's money.
It's like, I only work with people who are a perfect fit, and if you're not one of them, that's okay.
Exactly. And he gives some specific tactics for creating scarcity, like setting a total business cap on the number of clients you'll work with.
Or a growth rate cap, limiting how many new clients you take on each month.
For group programs, there's the cohort cap, limiting spots in each session. And then there's the really bold, once you're out, you can never come back approach.
Wow, that's pretty hardcore.
He also suggests creating a really high-priced exclusive service tier with limited access to you personally.
So, like a VIP level for those who are really serious and want the best of the best.
And then there's the use of urgency, like announcing price increases and using countdown timers.
Classic marketing tactics. But they can be really effective when used strategically.
Okay, so we've got this amazing in-demand offer, and now Hormozi gives us a really clever way to make it seem even more valuable. Break the offer into bonuses.
This is a good one.
It's so simple, but it works. Basically, you take the same core offer and you add a bunch of valuable bonuses.
It's like those infomercials where they're constantly throwing in extra stuff.
Exactly. And he says, never discount your main offer because that devalues it. Instead, add bonuses to increase the perceived value.
It's about sweetening the deal without lowering your price.
And he even suggests asking for the sale before revealing the bonuses in a one-on-one sales conversation.
That's interesting. So they're already committed before they even know all the extra stuff they're getting.
Exactly. And when choosing bonuses, he says practical tools and checklists are often perceived as more valuable than additional training because they require less time and effort from the client.
Okay, we're getting close to the end here. The last piece of the Grand Slam offer puzzle is getting creative with guarantees.
This is where you reverse the risk for the customer.
It's one of the most powerful ways to increase conversions.
He says experienced marketers often spend as much time on their guarantees as they do on their actual product or service.
Wow, they really put that much thought into it.
Yeah. And he says always state your guarantee boldly and explain the reasoning behind it.
So it's not just a generic money-back guarantee, but something more specific and tailored to the offer.
Right. And he's a big fan of conditional guarantees, where you keep working with the client until they get a specific result.
So you're basically putting your money where your mouth is.
Exactly. He says it's often better than a money-back guarantee because it shows commitment from both sides. He also talks about anti-guarantees, basically saying all sales are final.
That seems counterintuitive, but I guess it makes sense for certain types of offers.
Yeah, like for high-ticket, customized services. It attracts serious clients who are ready to commit. He also gives examples of guarantees like delayed second payments, contingent on achieving initial milestones.
So getting creative with the structure of the guarantee itself.
Exactly. And he makes a distinction between unconditional money-back guarantees, which are more common for low-priced consumer products, and the more specific guarantees that are better suited for higher-priced, business-focused offers.
Right, because the risk is higher for both parties with a high-priced offer.
He gives an example of a weak guarantee versus a strong guarantee. Instead of just guaranteeing a certain number of new clients, a better guarantee would be to guarantee that number of clients plus cover their ad spend if you don't deliver.
So you're taking on more risk, but it's a much more powerful guarantee.
Exactly. And he talks about stacking guarantees, offering both a money-back option and a conditional guarantee that provides even more value. He even quotes Jason Fladlane, saying customers need to see the inside of an offer before deciding.
So don't be afraid to be transparent and show them exactly what they're getting.
And he says to give your guarantees creative names, like the love it or leave it guarantee.
That's much more memorable than just 30-day money-back guarantee.
And he even suggests guaranteeing only the upfront payment plan to incentivize people to choose that option.
Okay, so basically it's about getting really creative and understanding your ideal client's biggest fears, and then reversing those fears into a specific and powerful guarantee.
Exactly. So just to quickly recap, we've covered a lot here. Finding your starving crowd, crafting that expensive bargain, mastering the value equation, remembering the perception is reality, solving all those potential buyer problems, strategically creating scarcity, breaking your offer into bonuses, and getting creative with guarantees.
That's quite the framework.
It is. But it's all about building an offer that's so good, it practically sells itself. And with all that in mind, I want to leave you with a final thought.
Okay, shoot.
What's the biggest fear your ideal client has right before they're about to buy from someone in your field? How can you not just address that fear, but turn it into an irresistible guarantee or make them feel like it's not even an issue?
That's a really good question to ponder.
Right. Go back through Hormozi's book or your notes with that question in mind. It might just be the key to crafting your own Grand Slam offer.
Sounds like a good place to leave it.
Absolutely.
Till next time.
See you then.